When you think of Tennessee, you probably imagine its vibrant music, southern charm, and beautiful landscapes. But beneath the surface, there's a much darker history waiting to be uncovered. These are not the stories of hardened criminals you might expect. They're the shocking, chilling tales of mothers, wives, and ordinary women who became some of the state's most notorious killers. From a murder fueled by teenage obsession to an unsettling string of serial killings, we're about to dive into the gruesome crimes of Tennessee's most infamous women. Our first story takes us to Knoxville, a city that, in 1995, became the setting for a brutal crime that would stain Tennessee forever. The Job Corps Center, a place meant to offer a second chance to troubled youth, became the site of a horrifying act of violence. Christa Pike, only 18 years old, would become the youngest woman in U.S. history to be sentenced to death after a crime so disturbing it shocked the nation. Pike's victim, 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer, had just arrived in Knoxville to turn her life around. But her hope for a better future would be cut short when she crossed paths with Pike, a troubled young woman with a past full of neglect and abuse. Pike became obsessed with Slemmer, convinced that she was trying to steal her boyfriend, Tatterall's ship. What started as jealousy quickly escalated into something far darker. On January 12, 1995, Pike lured Slemmer to an abandoned steam plant under the guise of peace. But there was no peace waiting for her. What followed was a half hour of pure terror. Pike and Ship, armed with weapons including a box cutter and a meat cleaver, tortured Slemmer with such brutality that it left the entire state in shock. Pike even carved a pentagram into her victim's chest before smashing her skull with a piece of asphalt. And it didn't stop there. Pike took a piece of Colleen's skull as a twisted trophy, later showing it off to fellow students at Job Corps. The investigation was swift, and Pike was soon caught. But even behind bars, her violence didn't cease. In 2001, she attempted to murder another inmate, cementing her reputation as one of Tennessee's most dangerous women. Next, we turn to a chilling mystery that haunted the highways of Tennessee and its neighbors for decades: the Redhead Murders. Between the 1970s and 1990s, a disturbing pattern emerged. The bodies of young women with red or reddish-brown hair were discovered along major interstates in Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mississippi. The killer was suspected to be a trucker, using the highways as his hunting ground. But for years, the case went cold, with many of the victims never identified. Then, in 2018, a breakthrough came. One of the victims, Tina Marie McKinney Farmer, was finally identified after decades of mystery. She was pregnant when she was murdered in 1985, found strangled and bound near Interstate 75 in Tennessee. But the twist came when DNA analysis linked her murder to a trucker named Jerry Leon Johns, a man who had already died in prison. Johns' past was filled with violent crimes. He had been convicted of kidnapping another woman, Linda Shack, in 1985. She testified that Johns had tried to strangle her and left her for dead, but she survived. This testimony helped put him behind bars. However, authorities are still cautious, unsure whether Johns was responsible for all the Redhead murders or if other killers were involved. The mystery surrounding the Redhead murders is still very much alive. Thanks to modern forensic technology, more victims have been identified, but many still remain nameless. Is Johns the only killer, or are there others out there? The haunting reality of these crimes lingers, reminding us of the dark side of the American South. These two stories, Christa Pike's brutal crime and the eerie mystery of the Redhead Murders, shed light on some of Tennessee's darkest moments. They challenge us to face uncomfortable truths about obsession, violence, and the human capacity for evil. What do you think? Was Jerry Leon Johns the true culprit in all the Redhead murders? Or was there more than one killer on the loose? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're fascinated by true crime and want more gripping stories like these, Make sure to subscribe and keep coming back. We've got plenty more chilling tales to uncover.